Hello everyone and welcome to the daily morning podcast of SBI Securities. So friends, let's discuss how the markets closed on Tuesday. Sensex closed lower by 693 points to settle at 78,956. Nifty closed lower by 208 points to settle at 24,139. Nifty Mid Cap 100 and Small Cap 100 also declined by 0.78% and 1.3% respectively. Moving on to the top 5 gainers and losers on Nifty. So the top 5 gainers were Titan, Apollo Hospitals, Tata Consumer, HCL Tech, Reliance. Whereas the top 5 losers were BPCL, HDFC Bank, Adani Enterprises, Bajaj Finance and Tata Motors. Moving on to BSE sector-wise advance and decline. So only BSE Consumer Durables advanced at 1.45%, whereas BSE Tech, Auto, Capital Goods, Services, Oil and Gas, Metal, Financial Services and Commodities declined from the range of 0.21% to 1.84%. Moving on to the market breadth, around 1,202 stocks advanced, whereas 2,743 stocks declined. Talking about 52-week high, around 121 stocks scaled new 52-week high. Some of them were Federal Bank, Genus Power, High-Tech Pipes, India Glycols, Suzlon, TVS Motor and so on. Talking about the 52-week low, around 31 stocks scaled new 52-week low. Some of them were Apollo Pipes, Equitas Small Finance. Moving on to FIDI. So FI net sold to the tune of rupees 2,107.17 crores, whereas DI net bought rupees 1,239.96 crores in the cash market on Tuesday. Talking about the global cues, the US benchmark indices overnight closed sharply higher as Dow was up 409 points, S&P was up 90 points and Nasdaq jumped 2.4% after US wholesale price inflation data showed prices have risen slower than expected. July PPI grew 0.1% month on month versus 0.2% in June against the expectation of 0.2%. Bond yield cooled off to 3.85% and dollar index dropped to below 103. The Asian markets are currently trading in green and hence we expect a positive start for our market today. Now talking about the quarterly earnings, so the following companies will declare their 1Q FY25 results. So some of them are Capacite Infra Projects, EID Parry, Equinox India, Equinox India, Entro Healthcare Solutions, Gabriel India, Glenmark Pharma, Hindustan Aeronautics, KNR Construction, Mazgaon Dock, Pitti Engineering, Red Tape, Reliance Power, Swan Energy, Tasun Product, Voltas and so on. Now talking about the quarterly earnings, so the following companies declared their quarterly earnings post market hours yesterday. So first one we have is Apollo Hospital Enterprise. So the consolidated revenue was up 15.1% YOY. The EBITDA and net profit were up by 33% and 82% YOY. EBITDA margin expanded and stood at 13.3% versus 11.5%. So overall, the company reported decent set of numbers. Therefore, we expect a positive reaction in today's trade. NBCC, so the consolidated revenue was up 11.3% YOY to rupees 2,144.16 crores. EBITDA and net profit were up by 60% and 38%. EBITDA margin expanded and stood at 4.27% versus 2.96% YOY. So decent set of numbers declared by NBCC. Therefore, we expect a positive reaction in today's trade. FIAM Industries. So the consolidated revenue was up 22% YOY. EBITDA and net profit were up by 29 and 38% YOY. EBITDA margin stood at 13.6% versus 12.8%. So overall strong set of numbers declared by FIAM Industries. So positive reaction is expected in today's trade. NMDC Steel. So the consolidated revenue was up 9.6%. And the company reported an EBITDA loss of 403 crores versus a loss of 956 crores QOQ. And the company reported a net loss of 547 crores versus a loss of 861 crores. So overall, weak set of numbers. Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers Chemical. So the consolidated revenue was up 22.3%. EBITDA and net profit were up by 45.7% and 34.1%. EBITDA margin stood at 7.6% versus 6.3% YOY. So overall strong performance by Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers Chemical. So we expect a positive reaction in today's trade. Max Financial Services. So the consolidated total income was up 28.7% YOY and net profit was up by 55% YOY. So overall decent set of numbers declared by Max Financial. Positive for the company in short to medium term. Texmaco Rail and Engineering. So the consolidated revenue was up 36% YOY. EBITDA and net profit were up by 250% YOY each. EBITDA margin expanded and stood at 7.9% versus 3.1%. So overall strong set of numbers declared by Texmaco Rail and Engineering. Therefore, positive for the company in short to medium term. MTAR Technologies, so the consolidated revenue was down 16.3% YOY. EBITDA was down 53.3% YOY. Net profit was also down by 78.3% YOY. EBITDA margin contracted to 12.7% versus 22.8%. So overall weak set of numbers declared by MTAR Technologies. So we expect a negative reaction for the company in today's trade. FSN E-commerce Ventures, so the consolidated revenue was up 4.7% QOQ. EBITDA and net profit were up by 3% and 49% QOQ. EBITDA margin contracted and stood at 5.5% versus 5.6%. So overall, decent set of numbers. We expect a positive reaction for the company in today's trade. Manappuram Finance, so the total income was up 20% YOY. Net profit was up 16% YOY. So overall, decent set of numbers for the company. Therefore, positive for the company in short to medium term. Marksans Pharma, so the consolidated revenue was up 18.2% YOY. EBITDA and net profit were up by 26% and 26.4% YOY. EBITDA margin expanded by 135 basis points and stood at 21.8% versus 20.4%. So overall, good set of numbers declared by Marksans Pharma. So we expect a positive reaction. Cable Kiran Clothing, so the consolidated revenue was down 15.2% YOY. EBITDA was down 19% YOY. Net profit was down 15.2% YOY. So overall, a decent set of numbers. Therefore, we expect a neutral reaction for the company in today's trade. TBO Tech, the consolidated revenue was up 13% QOQ. EBIT was up 31% QOQ. Net profit was up 32% QOQ. And the EBIT margin stood at 15.8% versus 13.7%. Overall, decent set of numbers by TBO Tech. Therefore, we expect a positive reaction. Techno Electric and Engineering, the consolidated revenue was up 37% YOY. EBITDA and net profit were up by 146% and 288% YOY. EBITDA margin expanded by 616 basis points and stood at 13.9% versus 7.74%. Several strong set of numbers declared by Techno Electric. Therefore, positive for the company in short to medium term. E-Clerk Services, the consolidated revenue was up 2% YOY. EBITDA and net profit were down by 17 and 14% YOY. EBITDA margin contracted 385 basis points and stood at 17.22% versus 21%. So overall, weak set of numbers declared by E-Clerk Services. Therefore, negative for the company in short to medium term. Endurance Technologies, so the consolidated revenue was up 15.3% YOY. EBITDA was up 16% YOY. EBITDA margin contracted to 13.2% versus 30. EBITDA margin expanded to 13.2% versus 13.1%. And the net profit was up 25% YOY. So overall, decent set of numbers by Endurance Technologies. Therefore, we expect a positive reaction in today's trade. Hero MotoCorp, so the consolidated revenue was up 15.7% YOY. EBITDA and net profit were up by 21% and 36% YOY. EBITDA margin expanded and stood at 14.4% versus 13.8%. So overall, inline set of numbers declared by Hero MotoCorp. Therefore, positive for the company in short to medium term. SJVN, so the company report the consolidated revenue stood at it was up by 29% YOY, and the EBITDA and the net profit were up by 33% and 31% YOY. EBITDA margin expanded and stood at 76.7% versus 74.5%. So overall, good set of numbers declared by SJVN. Therefore, we expect a positive reaction in today's trade. Astra Microwave Products, so the revenue was up 16% YOY. EBITDA stood at 24 crores versus 3.1 crores. EBITDA margin expanded to 15.5% versus 2.3%. Net profit was at 7.2 crores versus a loss of 6.7 crores YOY. So overall, decent set of numbers, and the outlook is good for the company. Therefore, we expect a positive reaction in today's trade. Now, moving on to the stocks which are likely to be in focus today. Vedanta and Hindustan Zinc. So the Vedanta will sell a 2.6% stake in Hindustan Zinc through an offer for sale via stock exchanges. The overall neutral for the company. SJVN. So the board received in principle approval for diluting a stake in SJVN Green Energy and received approval for monetization of Nagpa Jakri hydropower station via securitization of partial future revenue / return on equity. So overall, positive for SJVN in short to medium term. 5-star business finance. So the company should consider raising funds via securities. Several neutral for the company. Bombay Dyeing. The company has completed the sale of a Worli land parcel in Mumbai to Sumitomo Realty for rupees 538 crores. So overall positive for Bombay Dyeing short to medium term. Now moving on to the corporate action, where first we have is ex record dividend. So the following companies will have the ex record dividend. So they are EPL, Gujarat Pipavav Port, Kalyani Steels, Bharat Electronics, TTK Prestige, Hitachi Energy, Motherson Sumi Wiring India, Samvardhan Motherson International, Maharashtra Seamless, JB Chemicals in Pharmaceuticals, Railtel Corp, and HG Infra Engineering. Yeah, so that was all from the fundamental daily morning podcast of SBI Securities. Thank you for listening.
Investment in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.